Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laura Bloomberg, Dean of the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, and on behalf of the entire school community, including our professional staff who are amazing and work so hard to make this day special for all of you, I welcome you to today's commencement ceremonies. A sincere thank you to University of Minnesota Regent Peggy Lucas, who will preside over the conferring of degrees today. I also welcome Associate Vice President for Public Engagement, Andy Furco. Both Regent Lucas and Dr. Furco are tremendous friends of the Humphrey School, and we're so glad they're here to celebrate this event with us. So graduates, you're also surrounded by all these people here in the auditorium today, the people who love you most of the time, and who are so very proud of you and what you've accomplished. For all the parents and the spouses and the children and the partners, the extended family members and the cherished friends who are here to celebrate with you and recognize this remarkable milestone in your lives, how about you give them all a round of applause? I'd also like to recognize the Humphrey School faculty who are with me here on stage. Graduating class of 2018, these are the scholars, the educators, the advisors who helped to get you where you are today. And these are the individuals who collectively will be here to encourage you, to advocate for you, sometimes to recommend you for jobs, and in many cases become your long-term mentors and your colleagues. When our guests, your family and friends, came into the auditorium today, they may have noticed slides back here on the screen, both of Humphrey students in action all over the world, and also these esteemed professors. The world-renowned work of our faculty is largely what accounts for our proud status as a top 10 school of public affairs among almost 300 such schools ranked nationally. Please join me in thanking these terrific scholars for all that they do to help you to be successful and to make a significant difference in the world. I'd also like to pause for a moment and note that you will see on either side of us along the balconies flags from 20 different countries in the world. These are the flags that represent the home countries of the graduates who are here before us today. The Humphrey School is indeed a diverse, international community, and I have to tell you, I believe on behalf of all of the faculty up here, we are so very proud of that fact. As you know, graduates, this is my first year serving as the Humphrey School Dean, and I've got to tell you, I have had a blast this year, largely because of you. It's a very gratifying job. I get to come to work every day and focus on advancing our mission of inspiring, educating, and supporting innovative leaders to advance the common good in a diverse and changing world. And I want to pause for a moment and focus on that term, innovative leaders, because I think sometimes when you're just getting ready to head out into your career, you're thinking that those innovative leaders are those other people in the room, those other people who are more advanced in their careers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you. So when that mission talks about inspiring, educating, and supporting innovative leaders, that's you. And I really want you to remember that today. So anyway, it's a lofty mission, and I'm so very proud to be a part of it. Working with people to share this deep commitment to advancing the common good gives me just a load of optimism, and you all give me a load of optimism for the future. So for me and for the school, this has also been a year of looking back, not just to reminisce, but as a way of guiding our path and shaping our direction for the future. This past fall, many of you know this, but for our guests in the audience again, this past fall we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the official launch of the Humphrey School, or of the University School of Public Affairs as the Hubert H. Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And just this last January of 2018, we recognized the 40th anniversary of the passing of Hubert Humphrey. So in 1978, in the fall, the school was named after him, and happily, he lived long enough to see this school named in his honor. As you know, Humphrey was a man who shaped Minnesota and this country as a Minneapolis mayor, as a United States vice president, as a presidential candidate, and as a United States senator. The school stands as a living legacy, and a very proud legacy, to Humphrey's passion for the common good. And in so many ways, his vision continues to animate our work here. So when I say we've spent a year looking back to look to our future, he has really in many ways guided that. And then just this past March, we said goodbye to another stalwart public leader when former Minnesota First Lady Jane Freeman passed away at the beautiful old age of 96. Now, graduates, not many of you had the good fortune to meet Jane in person, or her husband, former U.S. Secretary of Agriculture and Minnesota Governor Orville Freeman, but I know that all of you have been impacted by the Freeman family's decades-long commitment to the Humphrey School. So let me ask you this, graduates. How many of you have either attended a Freeman seminar during your time as a graduate student or participated in any kind of a community event in Freeman Commons at the Humphrey School? Let's just see a show of hands. Mike, take a look around. Matthew, take a look around. When the Freemans, thank you. When the Freemans invested in the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, they were investing in you. Even though they knew they'd likely never meet you, in doing so, that they knew they were investing in a future that was bright because you would be going out into the world. Humphrey School professor Robert Cooterly holds the Orville and Jane Freeman Chair in International Trade and Investment Policy, and I'd like to invite him to come to the podium and share just a few thoughts about the Freeman family's impressive commitment to this school. Bob?
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. As many of you know, Orville Freeman served for 2 terms as governor of Minnesota in the 1950s. And then he went to Washington, where he became the longest-serving Secretary of Agriculture in the nation's history. He had many, many achievements, but they included food assistance for low-income families in the United States, and also a major role in reforming agriculture in India. Jane Freeman was a very popular and very visible First Lady when she was here in Minnesota, and she took Washington by storm. She organized a major Democratic fundraiser early in the Kennedy administration that attracted the attention of the president himself. Jane Freeman was a strong partisan. On her door at the Walker Center was emblazoned "Proud Democrat." But she was also gracious and thoughtful with everybody she met. Her 90th birthday celebration in the Freeman Commons some years ago was packed with present and former governors, senators, members of Congress across the political spectrum. Both Freemans believed that there was no higher calling than the public service. After the School of Public Affairs was renamed in honor of their friend Hubert Humphrey, the Freemans worked with great energy and dedication over many years to put the expanded institution on a firm footing. I served as Associate Dean during part of that period, and all of us in the school's leadership highly valued the Freemans' advice, their contributions, as well as their encouragement of financial support from their many friends and admirers. The Freeman's son, Hennepin County Attorney Michael Freeman, has continued his parents' commitment by contributing to our teaching program and by serving on the Dean's Advisory Council. Mike is here today, and I invite him to join me on the stage for this special recognition of his family.
Congratulations, graduates. This is a great school. Mother and Dad believed in it fully and completely. They met at the University of Minnesota. They married because of their relationship developed here in the University of Minnesota, and they met their best lifelong friends, Hubert and Muriel Humphrey. The four of them remained friends throughout their life, trading ideas, trying to make public policy different. But always it was the Humphrey name and ideas and Orville Freeman's and Jane Freeman's energy. I've been so privileged to teach here. Dad was the first chair of the advisory council. Mother replaced him when his health didn't permit him. I replaced Mom. And, you know, the Freemans do things in generations. Sitting with me in the front, Matthew, would you stand and be recognized as Matthew Michael Orville Freeman, the next Freeman. Honored to be here, Bob and Laura. Thank you so much.
And let me read the plaque to you, Mike. With gratitude for the Freeman family's many years of commitment to the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, generations of students will benefit from this legacy, presented in memory of Jane Freeman, 1921-2018, at the 2018 Humphrey School commencement ceremony.
So graduates, about this business of looking back to look to the future. Even now, as you carve out the time to decompress and relax a little after your sprint through this final semester, I encourage all of you, too, to do a little reflecting of your own. As you listen to today's speakers and then celebrate with family and friends, I want you to ask yourself this: how will you draw on your Humphrey School experiences? How will you nurture the connections you've made here to help shape your professional life and drive the goals you've set for yourself, not only personally, but also the professional goals you've set for your community and for how you want to impact society? How will you choose to live into your vision of what it means to be an innovative leader in a diverse and changing world? I'm confident you will do great things. I know this because I've just seen how much this graduating class of 2018 has accomplished at this school in the past couple of years. The work you have done both inside and outside the classroom to advance our collective well-being is so impressive to me. And here to recognize many of you for those accomplishments is my friend and trusted colleague, Associate Dean Carissa Slaughterback.
Thank you, Dean Bloomberg, and good afternoon, graduates, family, and friends. I am honored to present our Academic and Leadership Awards and also to recognize our outstanding instructors. The names of these awards and the criteria for which they are given are listed toward the back of your program for reference. I have numerous awards to announce, and some are for group projects with multiple winners. So that we may hear everyone's names, please hold your applause until I've recognized the recipient or recipients of each award. At the conclusion of these announcements, I will ask all of the winners to stand and be recognized collectively. I begin with academic awards. And our first one is the American Institute of Certified Planners Award. Congratulations to Elizabeth Dressel. The awards committee notes that Elizabeth exemplifies the characteristics we look for when selecting the recipient of this award: the passion for making cities better places for all, and the intellect to make those changes happen. The recipient of the Richard Bolin Urban and Regional Planning Fellowship set herself apart from her peers with her performance in the classroom, her contributions to the intellectual climate of the Urban and Regional Planning Program, and her enthusiasm for the planning profession. Congratulations to this year's winner of the Bolin Award, Megan McSorley. We are just a few awards in, and I'm already going to repeat a name. Elizabeth Dressel is also the recipient of the Edward Burdick Legislative Award. Having spent the last 15 months focused on a high-profile community engagement project, working alongside Professor Kathy Quick, Elizabeth guided members of the public and a task force in developing strategies to improve police and community relations. The Diversity Paper Award this year goes to a group of students who have recommended ways that the National Democratic Institute could be more inclusive of marginalized communities in its work within fragile and conflict-ridden societies. Congratulations to Charles Aoki, Julia Fair, Marina Kelly, and Anna Karina Rincon. In describing the recipient of the Freeman Stassen Award for International Activities, the selection committee chair writes that this year's winning paper, quote, represents exactly what the Freeman Stassen Award values most: rigor of analysis and sound policy advice. We also predict the paper will find a ready outlet for publication. Congratulations to this year's Stassen Award winner, Divya Pandey. The Gross Family Management and Leadership Award is presented to Maria Paschke. In her winning paper, Maria does more than summarize and apply. She constructs an argument about why gender diversity is valuable in the context of project management and offers recommendations for ways to minimize negative consequences of agile methodologies for women. Congratulations. The Lukerman Award this year goes to Olivia Doro Hovland. Through her service with the Planning Student Organization, Olivia continually went above and beyond expectations by helping to make important decisions about curriculum, as well as about improving student life and strengthening connections between the academic mission of the Humphrey School and the world of planning practice. We have 2 Master of Public Affairs paper awards given to students in our mid-career MPA program. The winner of the MPA leadership paper is David Duty. David's analysis of his own development as a leader interrogated himself, class material, and insights from his colleagues. Through his paper entitled "What We Talk About When We Talk About Breaking," he considers the individual and collective work required to reinvigorate democracy at this moment in our country's history. Congratulations, David. Our second award for Best MPA Paper goes to a group of graduates for their capstone project completed last summer. This paper examines ways that older workers may help bridge the workforce gap in Minnesota, a project completed for Hennepin County that also received widespread media coverage. Congratulations to Robin Brooksbank, Susan Wooten, and Charles Tumbarge. The Lloyd B. Short Award for the Best Master's Paper is presented to Divya Pandey for her paper examining rural wages in India and findings from the Rural Price Collections surveys. It was nominated by Professor Deborah Levison, who served as both Divya's academic advisor and paper advisor. Congratulations. Now, I'll announce the awards presented to instructors, which are all voted on by students. It is my pleasure now to recognize a few of my colleagues seated here on the stage and a teaching assistant who sits among the graduates. Congratulations to Instructor of the Year, Associate Professor Yingling Fan, who teaches in our urban and regional planning area. The Core Course Instructor of the Year award goes to Assistant Professor Carrie Olberger in our Leadership and Management area. And our Teaching Assistant of the Year was a TA for Professors Cooterly and Levison. Congratulations, Nathaniel Dempsey. In addition to providing excellent education and professional training, the Humphrey School prides itself on developing and honing leadership skills and encouraging good citizenship and service to the community. Each year, committees made up of students, faculty members, and alumni are challenged to select just a few student leaders for special recognition in these areas. Our first of these awards is the Gary M. DeCramer Public Leadership Award, presented this year to an MPA graduate recognized as a transformative leader who balances work, grad school, community, and family obligations. This person embodies qualities possessed by the faculty member Gary DeCramer, for whom this award is named. She has challenged racism and worked individually and collectively to address generational poverty and the achievement gap between Black and white students throughout her career. An active community volunteer, this individual serves as a tutor, a court mediator, and a racial justice facilitator. The selection committee writes that she is known particularly for bringing a sense of calmness to intense situations and offering wisdom in her words and a generosity of spirit in her approach. Congratulations to this year's recipient of the Gary M. DeCramer Public Leadership Award, Danica Leonard. The Jernberg Award for Student Life is awarded to a student who has worked as a tireless advocate not only for students of color, but for all students within the Humphrey School and across the university. A nominator writes, quote, "Her intentional work to seek out first-year students of color and make them feel connected helped make me feel safe and welcome to the school. Her work with HSOCA to keep students aware of issues outside the campus bubble and to connect with our larger community has made a big impact on me. She is a scholar and a friend." Congratulations to Octavia Smith. This year's recipient of the class of 1999, Paul and Sheila Wellstone Award for Public Action and Academic Excellence, is known for his deep understanding and vast public service experience in social, political, economic, and cultural constituencies in ways that set him apart from his peers. This person is recognized for being a deep-thinking intellectual leader who's constantly engaged in addressing fundamental issues facing his community, the state, and the nation. Please join me in congratulating Patrick McQuillan. Our final award this afternoon is the Student Leadership Award, selected by the student body. Since her time at the Humphrey School, this student has helped continue hard conversations around institutional integrity and equity and inclusion. She has, in various roles, supported the initiatives of other students who have been brave enough to question the status quo. She collaborates with others and is an important leader, not because she seeks to lead, but because she offers support to each other. Congratulations once again to Octavia Smith. For one final applause, will all the graduates and the faculty members recognized for these awards please stand so that we may congratulate you all.
This next part may come as no surprise to any of you. It's my honor to introduce this year's student speaker. This is an individual who, as you have just seen this afternoon, is a leader well-deserving of many honors. Some of you may know Octavia Smith because you are her classmate. Some of you may know her because she is this past year's president of HSOCA, our Humphrey Students of Color Association. Others may know her as that outspoken student from New York City. I am fortunate to know Octavia both as a student and as a colleague. Last fall, Octavia and I were co-instructors for the Working in Teams class. And students who, with any luck at all, will be sitting where all of you are sitting now, when they're sitting there next year, the students who took that class with Octavia and I will have benefited tremendously from Octavia's wisdom, from her personal stories, and from her wicked good humor. Recently, Octavia also joined me in hosting an evening for students and alumni at the Penumbra Theater in St. Paul, which is one of the largest African-American theaters in the country. It is the longest fully continuously operating African-American theater in the country as well. Octavia wrote an essay about that evening and that experience, and that essay is posted on our Humphrey School website. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go to the website and read it. It is beautiful. In it, Octavia compares the influence of the arts on public policy to a type of magic that opens our minds and opens our hearts to new possibilities. Her thoughts about how we lead in a country that is deeply divided on issues are both moving and inspiring, and they demonstrate to me that Octavia leaves the Humphrey School knowing a whole lot about how we need to advance the common good in a diverse and changing world. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Octavia Smith.
Thank you, Laura. I am honored to have been chosen to be the voice of many here at the Humphrey School. Thank you. I came to the Humphrey School not knowing what to expect. Coming from the Bronx, a vibrant and diverse borough in New York City, to Minnesota, I must admit I was a little shocked, culture shocked. Navigating the infamous Minnesota Nice has made for a unique experience. However, over time, I've been able to build a home away from home, here in Minneapolis and at the Humphrey. The Humphrey School is filled with students who have gone out of their way to support each other. Be it in preparation for midterms and finals, shout out to everyone who survived regression, to creating safe spaces to be in conversation about issues like gun violence and the Me Too movement. Many of the students, faculty, and staff here will leave me feeling hopeful about the future we can envision together. My time here at the Humphrey was filled with deep conversations about issues of equity for various marginalized groups. Laura mentioned that I wrote an article about the intersection of arts and policy. There I stated that I'm a firm believer in magic. For me, the definition of magic is our ability to hold space for love, laughter, and community despite all the reasons one may have to disengage. In those spaces, real change happens. And in this day and age, there are far too many reasons to disengage with the world around us. We are tired. The outcome of the presidential election tired us. The hundreds of deaths, murders at the hands of guns, mostly obtained legally, tired us. People who we thought were our ally in the struggle for human decency, Kanye, tired us. And yet, we have persisted. If that isn't magical, I don't know what is. I'm here today speaking with you all because my Black girl magic is real. And I want to urge everyone in this room to believe in magic. Believe in your magic, your ability to make change. It is our belief in our own excellence that will lead to long-lasting change. I'd be remiss if I did not take this time to reflect more specifically on the state of Minnesota that we will be entering as graduates of the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. The overall child poverty rate is 13%, but is 8% for whites compared to around 40% for American Indians and Blacks. The high school graduation rate is 83%, but the rate is significantly lower for American Indians at 52% than for whites at 87%. The median household income for Black families is around $30,000. For whites, it's around $66,000. The white unemployment rate is 3%. For Black people, it's almost 3 times that. We all came here to make a difference in the world around us. You now have new tools to make that difference. I want to caution everyone against complacency. Your silence is a maintenance of the status quo, a status quo that continues to oppress Black, brown, and Indigenous bodies. And yes, I'm speaking to my white peers, to faculty and staff, but I'm also speaking to anyone who bears witness to violence and chooses, for whatever reason, out of fear, profit, to do nothing. Again, believe in your magic. What you say and do matters. In closing, I want to take this time to honor those who were instrumental in my education and growth. First, I want to honor my family, my parents, my grandmother, my siblings. I have a lot. I am because they are. You have been there for me emotionally, spiritually, and financially. The work you do doesn't go unnoticed. I love you. Take the time to hug and appreciate your loved ones. Second, I want to take the time to thank the Humphrey Students of Color Association. Y'all gave me life. And you were there with me in the journey of navigating academia as a person of color. It isn't easy, but y'all made it worth it, and you kept me sane. I love you all. And shout out to all the people of color and Indigenous people in the world. Your voices matter, and I appreciate you all. Finally, I want to thank all the faculty and staff members who helped me get here. I wasn't the best or easiest student to get along with, so I appreciate the time you all spent fostering my growth. I want to give special thanks to the following: Joel Mixon for countless hours of counseling, Dr. Sam Myers, Fernando Berga, and Maria Hanratty for showing me that you can show up in academia unapologetically as yourself and be a force to be reckoned with. And lastly, to Laura Bloomberg for shattering glass ceilings. You are proof that women can have it all. To my fellow graduates, we made it. Give yourself a round of applause. Now get to work. Thank you.
Thanks, Octavia. This class is going places. I know that. And now it's my real honor to introduce today's commencement speaker, Dr. Anne Marie Slaughter. Dr. Slaughter is president and CEO of New America, a think and action tank dedicated to renewing America in the digital age. Dr. Slaughter previously served as Director of Policy Planning for the U.S. Department of State, the first woman to hold that position. And upon her departure, she received the Secretary's Distinguished Service Award and meritorious awards from USAID and the Supreme Allied Commander for Europe. She is Professor Emerita of Politics and International Affairs at Princeton University, where she also served that school as dean for 7 years. Dr. Slaughter is a frequent contributor in mainstream and new media and has, this is kind of amazing to me, she has more than 140,000 Twitter followers who read her updates on foreign policy regularly. She has written or edited 8 books. Some of you have now heard me say this 3 or 4 times, but I'm midway through her most current book, The Chessboard and the Web, and I highly recommend it, and she's not paying me to say that. I'm telling you, it's a really great book. In 2012, Dr. Slaughter wrote an article that many of us read then or have read since, called Why Women Still Can't Have It All. It ran in The Atlantic and quickly went viral, and in many ways helped to renew a national debate and discussion on obstacles to genuine and full gender equality. An accomplished foreign policy analyst, political scientist, international lawyer, and author, Foreign Policy magazine named Dr. Slaughter among the top 100 global thinkers, not once, not twice, but 4 times. I personally have long admired Dr. Slaughter and her accomplishments, and I am absolutely thrilled that she's with us here this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Anne Marie Slaughter.
Thank you. I am honored to be here to speak to you, to the loved ones who supported you, and to the faculty, the staff, the administration, and the alumni who made your education possible. When I was a law professor, we thought that our job was to teach students to think like a lawyer. Indeed, at the end of every semester, when I taught civil procedure, I would talk to my students about what thinking like a lawyer meant. I would say, and I'll just say before I say this may not be how all of you think about what lawyers are, but I would tell my students, thinking like a lawyer meant thinking like a human being who is tolerant, sophisticated, pragmatic, critical, and engaged. It means combining passion and principle, reason and judgment. When I became dean of Princeton's Woodrow Wilson School, which is a peer school of yours out on the eastern periphery, I wondered what the equivalent was for a school of public and international affairs. So I asked students to fill in the blank that we were teaching them to think like a what? So there was lots of pondering, and a fair number came back, and they were kidding, but not entirely kidding, with thinking like a bureaucrat. Not inspiring, but I do think it's worth emphasizing these days when our rule of law often seems to be in question, that bureaucrats are the guardians of the rules and the procedures that make government possible over communities that are so large that a personal knowledge of one another is impossible. But still, I think the better answer was thinking like a policymaker. And what is that? Because I have to tell you, and you all probably already know this, that beyond the confines of state capitals and schools like this one, if you go out and tell people, I'm a policymaker, it's not readily apparent what is meant. And so a policymaker is generally defined as a government official whose job it is to formulate and advocate and adopt a set of principles and strategies to achieve a public goal. So if the aim is to combat climate change, then policymakers think about what should those policies be. That could be a carbon tax, that could be a cap and trade system, that could be geoengineering, or it could be lots of little strategies designed to create incentives to conserve energy. But policymaking is a very top-down process. It also assumes a prescribed sequence. Policymakers research the landscape of theory and of data. They analyze the data that they uncover. They formulate a prescribed course of action. And then they try to communicate that to government officials, legislatures, or the executive, who can then pass a law or adopt a regulation or conduct themselves in lots of ways that can make things happen. They can enforce the laws, or they can not enforce the laws, and they can adopt all sorts of behaviors. Once that law or regulation is implemented, then you go and see what the impact is, and you hope that it's connected to what you intended it to be. You often find unintended consequences, and after the process of monitoring and evaluation, the whole thing starts over. So the first thing I want to tell you today is that that process of policymaking is too slow and too distant from the people it is meant to help. And focusing only on policy risks missing the bigger and broader enterprise of public problem solving. That's really why all of you are here and why all of us on this side of the dais are here. We want to make the world a better place, and to do that, we have to tackle the problems that affect society as a whole. Public problem solving engages not just government, but all three sectors: public, civic, and private. It's not just about ideas. It's about participation, implementation, evaluation, and experimentation. And it's bottom up as much as top down. It also crosses many disciplines, not just law and economics and politics, but history, sociology, psychology, science, engineering, and management. As you're graduating, a new practice of public problem solving is emerging. And what I want to do in the rest of my time with you is to describe some of the elements of that new practice. So the first is that it engages citizens in the process of formulating the policies that affect them, and equally important, it puts people at the center of that design process. And many of you will have studied human-centered design. We often focus on policy in terms of the big idea, the carbon tax or universal health care. And ideas are critically important, but we don't do nearly enough to include the people that those ideas are supposed to affect. And we don't have established channels and ways of engaging those people. So in President Obama's administration, after the healthcare.gov debacle, the president called in technologists to help him with the website, but that then led to the creation of the United States Digital Service, which brought engineers, computer scientists, project managers, design thinkers into government. And though that service, which continues, worked with agencies across the government to try to improve the delivery of services. But as they looked at the delivery of services across the government, their founding principle was build with, not for. We cannot see ourselves as designing policy and practice for people. It has to be with people. It has to be a government of, by, for, and with the people. So the second thing that the new practice focuses on is finding and replicating rather than making. And again, I'm a longstanding academic. I believe in coming up with new ideas and concepts, and some of that can be absolutely exhilarating. But actually, if you look across this country, and it's a big country and it's a diverse country, somewhere out there, local innovators are figuring out and testing solutions to most of our public problems. I encourage you to scout for solutions before inventing them, to be curious about what is out there happening, what works and what doesn't. So there's a book, and now I speak to all the family members and friends present. This is what I would recommend as a graduation present. Just wait till I've stopped talking before ordering it, please. So there's a book by James Fallows and Deborah Fallows called Our Towns, A 100,000-Mile Journey into the Heart of America. It published just this week. James and Deb Fallows spent 5 years flying a small plane, and I mean a really small plane, a plane small enough to have a parachute, not for them, but for the plane, all over the country. 5 years, they went to 50 towns. These were small and medium-sized towns, sometimes small cities, talking to people and exploring, as journalists, what is happening across the country. They went to Sioux Falls, they went to Duluth in Minnesota, they went to Dodge City, to Greenville, South Carolina, to Fresno, cities across the country. And here's what they say. They start by saying that the local news is very different than the national news. The national news is terrible, but it is not all the news. They describe, after our current Gilded Age, and we are in the second Gilded Age, the national mood will change again. When it does, a new set of ideas and plans will be at hand. We've seen them being tested in towns we never would have suspected, by people who would never join forces in the national capital, but who work together at home. Their projects, the progress they have made, and their goals are more congruent than they might ever have imagined. So get out there and scout before you invent. The third element of the new practice is using data to learn, monitor, fix, and adapt. Probably the most flawed idea in policymaking is that you do it once and you're done. You create a policy and you've created a policy until it gets reversed. That's just impossible today. Things move way too fast. And technology is changing, but also we are changing. So what we need to do is come up with a hypothesis or a tentative solution, and all babies are welcome, so. And babies cry, that's what happens. But we need to be able to try things, to monitor them in real time, to change them and improve them as we're working. That's where the use of data and knowing how to get streams of data in real time is so important. Data is always part of studies, but this isn't the studies that you research and publish. This is, again, in real time. The data about police shootings, the data about student evaluations, about water quality, about flashpoints among different groups, about food security. Having that data in real time can tell us whether what we thought was a solution is one, or if it's working, how can it work better? Fourth, and relatedly, the new practice harnesses existing technologies, but also engages technologists. Now, I do not believe that technology is the solution to all our problems. And indeed, in Washington, I talk about technology a lot. In California, I talk about policy a lot. It is not, we need both. And there are countless examples. Technology itself, like anything else, and we talk about digital technology, but tools are technology. It requires being embedded in policy, politics, and human relations. But still, if any of the problems that you want to tackle, you have to be able to take what is available technologically into account. And indeed, you don't have to look any further than Minneapolis. When I was preparing for this address, I talked to some of the people at New America about what was happening in Minneapolis, and one of the first things one of my staff members came up with is Minneapolis has a dashboard for diverse spending. You can go on the site and see immediately what tax dollars in Minneapolis are being spent on whom, on how many minorities, on how many women, on how, in fact, the city is living up to a commitment to diverse spending. Around the world, that kind of transparency is combating corruption in ways we have never seen before. Just in this year alone, you've seen major change in South Korea, in Brazil, in this week, in the Malaysian election, in Armenia, in Romania. And what is striking is that government officials are going to jail, but the government's not falling. Elections are happening, and anti-corruption campaigners are winning over corrupt governments. So harnessing emerging technologies, but equally importantly, having technologists at the table. Todd Park, who was the Chief Technology Officer for Health and Human Services, said he was brought in to fix healthcare.gov, but if he had come in at the beginning when the Obama administration was creating universal healthcare, there never would have been a healthcare.gov. He would have said from the beginning, you do not create one massive website for the country. You need people, you need engineering thinking just as we need economics, statistics, and all the other things that we learn. And finally, in our new practice of public problem solving, it's a practice that focuses on public value. Indeed, Dean Bloomberg and her co-authors have written extensively on a practice of focusing on public value. There are many definitions of public value. I'll give you one that she and her co-authors cite. Producing what is valued by the public, what is good for the public, or both. Now, we could all argue for a long time about that definition and the tensions between paternalism and representation. But the point is to ask yourself continually and ask the question, when you are doing your work, we're so engrossed in getting this paper done, in analyzing this data set, in putting something into practice. Stop. Are we actually serving the public? Are we doing what we are here to do, which is to create public value? So that's the new practice of public problem solving. Engaging citizens and putting those citizens at the center of the design process, thinking about finding and replicating, scouting rather than inventing, using data to monitor, but also to fix and to adapt, harnessing technology and engaging technologists, and focusing on public value and not being afraid to ask those tough questions. So I think traditionally, at this graduation, a School of Public Affairs, named for Hubert Humphrey, who went to Washington as a senator and then as a vice president. Generally, we might say, go east, young people. But for those of you who are going to Washington, we need you. For those of you who haven't made up your mind, I'd say not so fast. I'd say go east, go west, go north, go south, spread across the country. Join the people across the country, from Louisville to Salt Lake City to South Bend to LA, who are finding solutions to public problems with the people across the country in lots of new ways. You are graduating at a time of great trouble and of great opportunity, a time of great need, which you must confront with great humility. You are also graduating at a time of great uncertainty about, if nothing else, the future of work. And I have college-age kids, so I know this directly. What jobs will continue to exist, and what skills will you need for them? But the one thing that everyone who studies the future of work agrees on is that we will need creative problem-solving skills. I promise you, across the literature. So own that. Shape it. Be pioneering practitioners of problem-solving, but make sure it's public problem-solving. And when Dean Bloomberg and your fellow faculty members stand up at the end of classes, at the end of the first and second year of this great school, and they say, here at the Humphrey School, we teach you to think like public problem solvers. It's up to you to fill in those blanks. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Slaughter. When I opened the commencement ceremonies, I urged you to be reflective and think about what our speakers would say and what it meant for you as future innovative leaders. And I think both Octavia Smith and Anne-Marie Slaughter have given you plenty to think about. Now we come to what is probably the most anticipated part of the program, unless you want to just stop now, right? We will welcome a new class of graduates. Our graduates will be presented by faculty members specific to their degree program, who are all noted in your printed program. This year, we are pleased to celebrate some of our first graduates of the Humphrey School PhD in Public Affairs program, which we launched in the fall of 2014 with a cohort of 7 students. 3 of those inaugural students, or students from that inaugural class, will graduate this year, and 2 join us for today's ceremony. Professor Greg Lindsay, who directs the PhD program, will announce their names, and he will announce their names from the podium to the left, and I'm supposed to say, Greg, will you please approach the podium? And you'll say, yes, Laura, I will. And we will follow by the rest of our degree programs. Greg?
Thank you, Laura. It is my honor and privilege to announce our PhD in Public Affairs graduates today. Academic tradition is that PhD students are hooded on stage by their faculty advisor or another faculty member who has been particularly important in their academic accomplishments. This is different than the process for master's degrees. You may have noticed during the procession that the master's candidates are already wearing their hoods, but the PhD candidates will carry them on stage for a ceremonial hooding. Our first PhD in Public Affairs recipient is Vivek Bhandari. Vivek's track within the PhD program is Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy, and the title of his dissertation is Essays on Policies Surrounding Power Systems. Vivek's advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Wilson, could not be with us today, and he is being hooded by Professor Anu Ramaswamy. Our next PhD recipient is Kang Tong. KK's track within the PhD of Public Affairs is Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy, and her dissertation title is Low Carbon Cities, Accounting, Infrastructure, Analysis, and Transitions. KK is being hooded by Professor Anu Ramaswamy, who is also her advisor. Congratulations to both Vivek and KK. It is now time for master's degrees. I invite my colleague, Karen Brown, co-director of the Master of Development Practice Program, to the podium.
Thank you. It is my honor today to present to you the graduates of the Master of Development Practice Program. Adriana Arce. Katrina Becker. Hannah Bone. El Mohanad El Sayed. Terere Ayamina. Julia Fair. Isaac Hiron. Christian Golightly. Amal Hassan Warsami. Mohammed Ibrahim. Isabel Marsh. Aaron Intalo. Cody Rausch. Vanessa Valder. Aaron Wiedenman. And Franklin Zumba. And next, I'd like to invite my colleague, Director Barbara Fry, to the podium to introduce the Master of Human Rights graduates.
Thank you. It is my great honor to announce the recipients of, or the degrees for the first in Human Rights Masters cohort. We're delighted to join the rest of the master's programs with the Humphrey School, but this is also a joint program with the College of Liberal Arts. Jacqueline Kantak. Marina Kelly. Andrea Martinez. Ana Karina Rincon. Richa Sharma. And Maria Terra. And now invite to the podium Dr. Kevin Gertis to bestow the MPA degrees.
It is my honor to present the names of those who are graduating with the Master of Public Affairs. Rahim Agayev. Kamal Ali. Sarah Burns. Emily Best. Laura Sina. Jennifer Desrud. Comfort Dondo. Alyssa Dotson. Jennifer Dronick Fink. John Fetzer. Sarah Florman. Molly Gazella Bronchek. Molly Hayes. Amanda Jensen Stahl. Natella Jordan. Emily Larson. Lanny Law. Ashley Lawson. Patrick McQuillan. Susan Merkel Wooten. Angela Merrifield. Jen Moberg. Jessica Nelson. Kimberly Norton. Mark Otto. Joe Quinn. Umar Rashid. Jeanette Rebar. Alan Roy. Michelle Schreifels. Tracy Shimmick. Rebecca Sholand Parks. Mark Scogan. Marnie Thomas. Michael Wadle. Royce Weens. Makeda Zulu Gillespie. And now I'd like to invite to the podium the Assistant Professor Jerry Zhao to present the MPP.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here this afternoon to present to you a new graduate from our MPP program, Master of Public Policy. Sarah A.B. Dylan Adams. Matthew Bowman. Solveig Beckel. Matthew Berg. Diana Bach. Asan Bhatt. Abimil Chabet Hernandez. Alexandra Cheetan. Nathaniel Dempsey. Jordan Elton Foster. Thomas Engrave. Isaac Evans. Chad Fanning. Kayla Goldfab. Alex Grill. Marina Herrera Haynes. Samantha Hoti. Cody Hopewell. Deitaro Jacopi. Nicholas Jeninik. Anna Johnson. Kale Kuchman. Rachel Kuter. Min Lee. Melinda Lee. Kali Matsumoto. Daniel McDonald. Buckley McKay. Connor McPalland. Inina Mahya. Derek Midener. Nick Newman. Emma Olson. Divya Pendy. Maria Pashchiki. Michael Prado. Lydia Quint. Nicholas Rio Ray. Jocelyn Rosie. Noah Shevik Lonstein. Octavia Smith. Devin Stewart. Catherine Svitavsky. Jared Swanson. Brandon Tice. Maya Urich. Tyler Van Bakun. Nishank Vashini. Pahi Shong. Kailin Janoni. Raihana Zirak. Next up will be Assistant Professor Gabe Chen to announce the names for MSTEP program.
Thank you. I am honored to now present the graduates of the Master of Science in Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy. Graham Ambrose. Haley Bloomquist. Brianna Dank. Kyle Flanagan. Grace Garbini. Peter Garnus Halverson. Alexandra Hillstrom. Benjamin Ide. Kelsey Kapler. Rachel Kosi. Madeline Norgard. And now I'd like to introduce Professor Ryan Allen, Director of the Master of Urban Regional Planning Program.
It's my pleasure to introduce the graduates of the Masters in Urban and Regional Planning Program. Frank Alarcon. Joseph Ayers Johnson. Shanua Bai. Christopher Britton. Gretchen Beekler. Miles Campbell. Yunju Joanne Chu. Andrew Degerstrom. Olivia Doro Hovland. Elizabeth Dressel. Adrian Jimhart. Matthew Goodwin. Luke Hansen. Ashley Hartle. Tanner Hofer. Maureen Hoffman. Kurt Howard. Anna Jerome. Kevin Carner. Chris Kartheiser. Alex Koolhaas. Casey Lauderdale. Sam Neal. Joshua Ponch. Peyu Pua. Joseph Polachek. Denitrick Powers. Elizabeth Sherber. Alyssa Schmeling. Reed Sherlock. Leela Singer Burke. Alicia Valenti. Eric Van Oss. Michael Wade. Garth Wadsworth. Tiffany Weiss. Amy Yoder. It is my pleasure to welcome Regent Peggy Lucas to the center podium to confer the degrees.
Thank you. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the Board of Regents of the University of Minnesota, I now confer on you the degrees for which you have been qualified. Congratulations, all of you.
Wow, I'm a little verklempt. Congratulations, really, on your accomplishments. It's just so fun to watch you come across the stage and so exciting to know what you're going to do. But wait, there's more. You're now graduates, which means that you're now among a really impressive and talented group of alumni throughout this community, this state, this region, this country, and in fact, the world. To welcome you to the ranks of the alumni, it is my pleasure to introduce a member of our Humphrey School Alumni Board, Ann Carroll. Since graduating from the Humphrey School in 1983, Ann has provided the community a level of community engagement and strategic planning consultation that is impressive indeed. She has served a wide array of public and nonprofit clients. She's also served on a number of local and national organizational boards, including 16 years as an elected member of the St. Paul Public Schools Board of Education. Please join me in welcoming Ann Carroll.
Well, on behalf of the Humphrey Alumni Society and the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, congratulations to you all, and wow, what a great-looking group you are. When I graduated with a Master of Planning decades ago, a degree that no longer exists, but for me was a perfect blend of planning and public affairs, we were such a small program that all of us, faculty, staff, and students, we all fit onto one floor, the 9th floor of the Social Science Tower right over there. That was our home. In those early years, the school was finding its way, just as we were as new grad students. But over the years, we all pitched in, and we crafted a new future for the Humphrey School. You arrived after we created, as a greater Humphrey community, this compelling new mission to inspire, educate, and support innovative leaders to advance the common good in a diverse world. Standing here with all of you today, I'm awed at how much we have expanded our mindset and our impact and our physical footprint. Your arrival here at the Humphrey School is because of those changes over time. You brought a robust range of experiences, perspectives, and ideas, and helped us move further toward reflecting the racial, ethnic, and linguistic diversity of our communities. And from your own contributions here, exploring, challenging, and building relationships, you now have come out on the other side as some of the most talented, capable, and passionate graduates in the country. We're excited to watch and to help all of you as our newest Humphrey alums make powerful contributions as leaders from your backyard to around the world and shape the future for the common good. Your diploma cover is a small thank you from your Alumni Society, along with a copy of the Humphrey magazine with a note to graduates tucked inside. You'll get that magazine twice a year from now on. But from that small beginning, please commit now to staying engaged. Become a mentor, recruit new students, join a Humphrey network, participate in events and activities in person as well as virtually, follow each other on LinkedIn and Facebook, hire or be hired by your fellow alums, and intentionally build relationships within and between classes, programs, and communities. In just a couple of hours, I'm having dinner with a group of fellow alums, something we've been doing for nearly 15 years, but none of us were here together at the same time. We are from different degree programs, and we span nearly a generation. But being Humphrey grads is what brought us together and what binds us still. That bond is amazing, and it's powerful, and it's yours to use wisely and well. And while I'm looking forward to the day when I can use the successor to Google Glass to scan a sidewalk, a room, or people anywhere in the world and find all my fellow Humphrey alums, in the meantime, I'll rely on all of you to leverage your Alumni Society membership to speak up, shout out, and stay connected. Congratulations, fellow alums.
Thanks, Ann. Once again, on behalf of the Humphrey School community, congratulations to all of you for a job well done. To the students, now the graduates, the alumni, friends, and faculty members, special thanks to all of you who have supported these men and women during their time at the Humphrey School. And now it's our turn to watch all of you go out in the world and make it a better place. That concludes our ceremony and this afternoon's program. I hope that you will all of you in the audience, join us for refreshments on the patio, which is out behind the concert hall, where students and their families are also invited to take photos. I guess the photos are inside. There's a photographer out in the common area, and there's a photo booth. And then join us for refreshments outside. Let's hope the temperature went up a few degrees while we were inside. Again, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. And now you can get out of your funny robes and go celebrate. Good afternoon.